You and I are going to achieve a lot this year. Now, the reason why I start this video with such a declaration is that hopefully on the 31st of December of this year, we can actually be able to look back and see how you and I have been able to achieve so much. Now, I know it's not going to be an easy ride. That's for sure. But there are things that we can be able to look out for so that we make sure that the things we are writing down now, our New Year's resolutions and our plans for the year and all that are achieved at the very end. Now, in this video, I want to share with you some of the obstacles to achieving New Year's resolutions, apart from the ones that we talked about in the previous one. And probably some of you haven't even set New Year's resolutions in the very first place. But here are a few things that you should watch out for if you really want to achieve a lot in this year. Number one is lack of motivation. If you start a particular goal, if you don't have a clear and conscious motivation at the very end, then you may fall at the wayside at the same time. If you don't feel motivated to achieve this particular goals that we are setting this year, then you'll give up on the way. If you have a motivation that, isn't that concrete, then you won't pursue it to the very end. You need to find something that's almost bigger than yourself and then use that as a motivation of doing some of the things that you need to do this year. It's more than just having this amount of money or I want to achieve this amount of success. It needs to be more than that. The motivation needs to go beyond the superficial to something that frankly is almost spiritual. This kind of motivation will actually help you to get to the next level. Number two is a lack of time. As you are starting the year, especially in the very first few weeks, you're just trying to find your way around the new year and trying to find your groove in the new year. Some of us are really groggy and you're trying to find that focus of the year. You haven't really decided what you're going to do with this new year. But in order to be able to achieve these things that we want to achieve this year, you have to create time for them. This means that you need to sit down and to plan your day, your weeks, your months, and so forth, so that you can always put time for the things that you want to achieve. For instance, if you want to be able to become a good chef this year, then you have to set time to watch tutorials on how to be able to cook and also practice in the kitchen and set time for that every single day and make it so often. Things that are important to you, you have to set time for them, because if you don't set time, then when other things come in, because life happens, if you don't set time, then you'll not achieve the things that you need to achieve in the time that you need to achieve them. Some of the goals that we are going to be setting are going to be short term, and they probably will have a little more time on your calendar, especially at the beginning. If something is important, then you need to place it in your calendar. And I think something important for us to adopt this year is to make sure that our calendars are detailed enough so that we know which activity we are supposed to do at a particular time. It is easy, very easy, to go from morning to evening without having planned anything. And then at the end of the day, because many of us don't even take stock of what has happened during the day, the year will be over. It will be so fast and you will not have done a particular thing. So it's important for you to place time for you to do the important things that you need to do. If something feels very hard, then it's important to really get rid of it off your timetable as early as possible. It's called eating the frog. So you have to make sure that you take care of the things that are hardest at the earliest time as possible, and so that increases your motivation to go on to the next things, because those ones seem smaller and less daunting, and at the end of the day you'll have achieved so much that was actually on your plate. And number 3 is a lack of support. There is no way that we are going to achieve anything this year if we try and work alone. I know we live in a society that is highly capitalistic and individualistic as well, but in order for us to be able to achieve even more, we need to look for support from the people who are around us. These are our families, these are our friends. It can be your partner, it can be your spouse, or whoever it is. You need a support system. You need someone to keep you accountable, whether they're from the group that I've just mentioned above or outside of that. You need someone who will be holding your hand, so that when things get difficult, you actually have someone that you can be able to turn to. And if you need support and you need to bounce off ideas with someone, you actually have that support system in place, because this is going to be quite a huge journey that we are trying to get through. There's this saying in the good book that says 1 can chase 1,000, but 2 can chase 10,000. There is power in unity. There is power in collaboration. Of course, even with me and this particular channel, expect a lot more collaborations that will be happening, because just being cognizant of the fact that I cannot be able to grow alone is what is moving me in this particular direction. Of course, if you have a support system, then the times that you feel down, these are the same people who will be coming to your aid and telling you now is the time to put on more strength. Now, this reminds me of the prophet Moses when he was in the desert and he had 2 people holding his hands up, and the Bible records that every single time that Moses raised his hands, the Israelites actually won. Moses knew the power of collaboration, and the people around him were also cognizant of the fact that if we are able to support this man, then we'll actually be able to get victory. I think this is also a very big lesson to the people who are content creators in this country. Do more collaborations, work with other creators so that you can all grow together. If you can do this, then we all have a bigger cake that we'll be able to eat at the end of the day. Number 4, building on this, is procrastination. It's very easy to let go of the targets that you set because you don't feel like it. I was this morning just listening to TD Jakes, and he said something to the effect that if you want to achieve something, and the people who've achieved a lot in life, it has very little to do with your feelings. You have to put your feelings into submission so that you can actually be able to achieve what you want to achieve. Because if you do, then when you feel like it, if you just are moved by your emotions, you'll never be able to do something that's impactful. At the end of the day, you just wake up and decide that this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to achieve, whether I feel it or not. This is the spirit of the people who win the Olympics. I want to actually be able to achieve something, so I put my heart and soul into it so that I can be able to actually do it. Because the more you keep on throwing your responsibilities down the road, the bigger that mountain becomes. And this also applies if you're trying to learn something, if you're trying to save for something, if you want to go for a trip, or you're trying to do the 52-week saving challenge. If you start missing a few days of saving, then when you look at your deficit, that amount looks huge. So you need to every single day make sure that you are accomplishing the task of that particular day. Even if you'll not sleep that day, but you make sure you have done what needs to be done. This is a reason why we are doing this, because remember, you and I, we are going to do epic things in 2023. So we have to let go of procrastination right now, and that feeling may come over and over again, but we have to be there to meet that challenge and to make sure that we are going through to the target that we have. Number 5 is lack of a clear plan. I love this quote, and I saw this somewhere. It's in the nursing council's office. I saw this a few years ago, and it says, a lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on ours. And while that is really taken out of context, but what you need to understand is, if you want to achieve things this year, you have to have a clear plan. Sit down. Write down, I want to achieve this in this sector of my life. I want to achieve this other thing in this sector of my life. All these things, you have to write them down so that you can be able to break them down into monthly and daily goals, so that this can actually help you to reach the goal at the very end. And because we are letting go of procrastination, and because we have a very good support system, even when that goal seems too far off, because we have a plan, we can actually be able to sit down, iterate through it, and then understand, so now that I haven't been able to achieve my goal for January, what extra thing do I need to do in February so that I can be able to get closer to my goal? Who knows? Many of us will be able to reach our targets by August or September or even July if you're really ambitious. But the bigger the goal that you set, and having a plan on how to make it happen is really important to do if you're gonna achieve epic things this year. And number 6 is lack of accountability. For someone like me, if I'm just doing things just by myself, sometimes I get to a point where I'm like, it's never too serious. But then if you have an accountability partner with you, then you're able to achieve even more, because when they are getting tired or slipping up, you're there to actually encourage them to get back on the bandwagon, and we are gonna start this again. And they do the same thing for you. So you have this person that is next to you, going on the journey with you, and at the end, you both achieve what you need to achieve. This can be a mentor, someone that you look up to, who you may be going to maybe quarterly or twice a year, and you're able to sit down with them and you can be able to discuss how far you have gotten and what support you need in order to get to the next level. Or it can be a peer, someone that you work well with, and you're able to bounce off ideas off of each other. And sometimes even the things that you do can be even completely different, but as long as you have both agreed to be each other's accountability partners, then you can all be able to help each other by giving each other encouragement, also being a shoulder to lean on. All these things are important. Sometimes the goal looks too big, and it's important to have this accountability partner next to you so that you can actually punch fear in the face and you make sure that you achieve these goals that you have for 2023. So what are your goals for this new year? Place a few in the comments below, and in a future video we'll actually talk about how to be able to set up a vision board so that this can also help you set a plan for this new year if you're looking to make 2023 the year that you want. This is going to be our best year, and I want you to go and watch this video. That was the first one I did this year, and I'll see you in the next one.